when I had the spoiled milk moment, I wanted to help people avoid my mistakes. One of our mantras is help you succeed in life where we failed. Another mantra we live by is authenticity creates victory. So, what we really believe in is teaching people information, what's going on, that they have the ability to be great.
Marques, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you.
Thanks so much, Aaron. Thanks for having me on, my friend. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Yourself?
I'm doing well. No complaints over here, man.
I'm really excited to talk to you today. You've been through some incredible stuff, uh, including, every boy's dream of, playing in the NFL. And, you know, and then of course maybe every grown man's dream of running a multi-million-dollar business. And you've been through some highs and lows. So I really want to kind of dig into uh, what you went through, the lessons you learned along the way. But first, to answer the little boy's question, what was it like to be in the NFL? What kind of work did it take? What kind of competition was it just to get into the career field? And and most importantly, I think, is what kind of lessons did you learn that, did you carry forward from professional sports into the rest of your life?
That's a great question, Aaron. So for me, playing in the NFL was a dream that I was able to accomplish. And I was able to follow my brother, Jonathan Ogden, who was drafted into the National Football League in 1996 by the Baltimore Ravens. He was their first draft pick ever. And to be able to actually play with him at one point in my career was absolutely amazing. And the NFL, it was really hard to get to the NFL, right, Aaron? But staying in the NFL is another level because so many people, the veterans, other people, they hold like these like workouts sometimes like on Tuesdays or Wednesdays during the week for guys looking to fill roster spots, make moves, make cuts. It's such a business, right? Fans see it as one of the greatest sports on earth, which I totally agree with. But it's such a business as well, Aaron, that they're always looking for ways to save money, to cut costs, and players are expenses. I mean, they are, it's just the way that it is, right? And so at the end of the day, it's a really big facet and a really big factor that when you get to the National Football League, it's really, really hard to stay in the NFL. And then from there, like you said, the lessons that I learned going from the NFL to everyday life, one of my favorites is from my old head coach, Jack Del Rio, who was my rookie head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Jack told us when I was a 22-year-old rookie, right, Aaron? In order to be successful, you have to be your own CEO. You have to be your own chief executive officer. Nobody is going to end up doing things for you. You have to be the one that's willing to go out. You have to be the one that's willing to go and be a self-starting, self-inspired person. If you're not that, then what happens is, right, Aaron, you are waiting for somebody else to tell you what to do, where to go, where to be. And what happens is then you're sitting around not taking action. And I tell people, action is the foundation of success through innovation, movement, and then this moving and like being energetic and this moving and then being dynamic. So if you are innovative, if you're moving and doing movement, and if you are dynamic and you are taking action, there's nothing you can't do. But I learned that, especially from Coach Del Rio, that if you want to be great, right, Aaron, you can't wait. Be a self inspired, self starting CEO.
It's I've heard it said, nobody cares. And just saying nobody cares about you failing, or nobody cares about your life more than you do, or your success more than you do. I've also heard him put, you know, nobody's coming to save you. And it just, of course, it means your future is in your own hands. It's the same as what you're saying there. You got to take action. In fact, I think it was Benjamin Disraeli who said, "There, action doesn't guarantee happiness, but there is no happiness without action." And you gotta, you're absolutely right. You gotta take your own destiny in your hands and not wait on direction or circumstance or somebody else to, put that, championship ring in on your hand for you. You got to go after it. So after the NFL, what was the transition like from the business of football to you got into, it was construction?
Correct. Very much so, Aaron. So it was hard for about 6 months. I dealt with isolation. I dealt with depression. I dealt with suicidal thoughts. I had lost my dad not that long before, in that regard. And so, in that regard, it was a really, really big process that I had to really go through, and I had to, be able to move myself through. And honestly, what was really, really compelling is that it was such a huge, huge darkness that I didn't even think about, right, Aaron? That came about as a result of not being in the National Football League. And then when I finally stopped feeling sorry for myself, when I finally put myself in a position where I was able to really think about what I needed to do and really excel at something other than feeling sorry for myself, I started Caden Premier Enterprises. And that was the real beginning of me using my skill sets, like my ability to be charismatic, my ability to connect with people, all these things. And that really and truly allowed us to grow a company, right, Aaron? That went from $0 to an 8-figure business, right? And it was such a huge, huge part of our life at that time. Unfortunately, for me, what happened is when I got into the success I was having, my ego got in the way. And as a result of my ego getting in the way, right, Aaron, it ended up costing me everything because I got so self centered on what I call outside forces, or even better yet, right, Aaron, external motivating factors. And as a result of those factors, I chased money, I chased cars, I chased women, I chased fame, and I ended up really and truly, Aaron, burning out, right? And I really didn't enjoy what I was doing. And then that, along with pushing away my best employees, and then a job I did, right, Aaron, for a big developer and a big contractor, ended up going sideways. And by the time I was able to try to get myself back together, and I thought I might have had a chance of redemption, my bank, which I don't blame them today, I blame them then because I was so not having any accountability in my life. My bank shut down my line of credit. They shut down my equipment line. They called in the loan, which was, of course, maxed out. I ended up having no assets I could lean on because my house was already mortgaged to a loan shark. And I ended up literally just being over leveraged in what I was doing. As a result of that, right, Aaron, I ended up going completely bankrupt in 2013. And I had to start completely over from the bottom when I moved to Raleigh.
So that is a perfect storm of difficulties, mostly stemming from your own personal actions. And I can certainly sympathize when you talk about the transition portion, from one career to another, an entirely different life. When I was injured, I had to come to grips that that previous life is gone. That's over. That the phase was it was gone. That chapter was closed, and I had to create a whole new life for myself. And you did really well for yourself, but you say it was ego driven. Were not like the foundational systems, checks, balances. You didn't have somebody as a backstop for the decisions that you were making in your life. There wasn't somebody there that could help you make the right decisions, or was this you just driving the bus and taking it off a cliff?
So that's a great question, Aaron. So when I ended up losing everything, my father had passed away in 2006, who was my North Star. He was my everything. And I could always go to him for help and guidance no matter what. And once I lost him, and once I got into so much money, so much what I thought was success, so much quote unquote stardom with the business, I had no one around me to keep me grounded. I had no one around me to help me stay humbled and focused. So, literally, Aaron, to answer your question, yes, I drove myself off a cliff. No doubt about it. I was the one that got behind the wheel of the bus and I said, gung ho, let's go. And I ran through every stop sign, every dead end. And then I got to a point where it probably said, keep going forward, you're going to fall off a cliff. And I did not listen. And as a young person, I was about 30 or 31, and I felt invincible. I felt I could build that quote unquote bridge that I can then drive across to the other side of fulfillment, prosperity, notoriety, fame. But in reality, I was just another man that was full of himself and full of arrogance and full of egocentric behavior. And I drove myself right off the cliff, Aaron, and I crashed and burned in the ravine.
You mentioned your brother. How was your relationship with him? Where was he at this time?
Oh, he's still alive, doing great. He was, alive. Well, he's doing fine now. He is in Las Vegas. We have a great relationship. But leaning on my brother would not have taught me anything because it wasn't his mess to clean up. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't his poor judgment, poor attitude. One of my clients, his name is Luke, he has a great saying, right? He says, when attitude and aptitude merge, great things happen. So when you have the right attitude and you set the right aptitude for where you want to go and what you want to do in life, you can be great. And I had a bad attitude. I had a low aptitude. And like I said, right, Aaron? Poof, crashed and burned. But my brother, who I love dearly, it was not his mess to clean up.
So you sent the business and your life off the cliff. It comes crashing down. What happens next? Well, was there a turnaround point? Did you have to kind of go through another transition period again and reevaluate?
That's a great question, Aaron. So I ended up moving to Raleigh with she was at the time my fiance, who became my wife, who is now my ex-wife. And when I got to Raleigh, I had about $400 to my name. I had a job lined up with Merrill Lynch, was working there for a short time. Then I got fired, all my fault. I was trying to work on selling people and I wasn't practicing for my my exams, and I ended up failing my practice test, and they had to let me go because I was not really doing well in that regard. Then I went to a construction company. I was there for about 4 or 5 days, and I got fired again because the construction company shut down its doors to their sales store. So the only job I could get, Aaron, was working as a football private coach. I did birthday parties as a football birthday clown, playing football with the kids. And I ended up working as a custodian in downtown Raleigh for $8.25 an hour. And that job was amazing because without that job, right, Aaron, I would have never hit my rock bottom moment, which was my spoiled milk moment, where someone's trash, horrible, protruding, rotten garbage got all over my body, my skin, and my clothes. And that was my wake up call. And once I realized that I needed to make a change, that's what started me on the pathway and the trajectory towards speaking. And I started speaking in September 2013, didn't get a paid speaking job for 2.5 years, got our first paid speaking job April 2016, learned how to give more value than I was charging, learned how to provide more value than people were giving me energy that I was working with. Because if I'm not going to give value to people, they're not going to give me their energy. And I got coached and I got developed. And in the last 8 years, it'll be 8 years next month, Aaron, since our first paid job. We've worked for 55 Fortune 500 brands as a speaker. Of the 55, about 15 to 20 are Fortune 100, like New York Life, MetLife, Siemens, Cisco, Intel, Home Depot. Those are just name a few of our big clients. Liberty Mutual Insurance is just name a few. And what we've done in that regard, we've now become a 4-time best-selling author. We are a podcast host of Get Authentic with Marques Ogden, ranked in the top 0.5% most popular. We speak for all kinds of awesome companies. I'm actually flying out to Cabo Friday, this in 2 days, to speak for 1,000 Mile Travel. Some of their big sponsors, which are Carnival Cruise, United Airlines, SBRE Technology. And we're very fortunate. I mean, we're very, very fortunate that, people love our work, that people are excited about what we're doing, and that we're able to give people our story, our testimony, with challenging them and then giving them action steps, right, Aaron, to better themselves in what they do.
So tell me a little bit more about this transition, though. What, you hit that rock bottom moment. Filthy, stinking, and probably not feeling too great. And then you made a decision, right? Take action. How did you get? How did you get to the decision point, or how did you get on the path of speaking and coaching and inspiring others? Where did that come from?
So the transition there was when I had the spoiled milk moment. I wanted to help people avoid my mistakes. One of our mantras is help you succeed in life where we failed. Another mantra we live by is authenticity creates victory. So, what we really believe in, right, Aaron, is teaching people information, teaching people what's going on, teaching people that they have the ability to be great. But in order to get to that point, right, Aaron, they have to get out of their own way. And so what we do is we really focus on, through speaking, our stories, our action steps that tie into our client's theme. Then through coaching, we really work with individuals one on one, some consulting, that are either like life coaching, they want to be speakers, they want to have better business sense. and we help them to see things that a lot of times they can't see because they're actually in it. Instead of looking at it from an outside, fresh perspective, they get caught up in the minutia the exact same way, right, Aaron? I got caught up in the minutia of my construction company, Caden Premier Enterprises, and I ended up losing everything that I owned because I didn't have anybody to give me a outside perspective, and I was too emotionally attached to make informed, really strategic decisions.
You know, I think many people would benefit from those outside perspectives. You can't read the label from inside the bottle, right? So it took you over 2 years to get a paying speaking gig. What did you do in the meantime? How did you support yourself?
Great question, Aaron. I did football coaching, one on one, private and group. I ran a 7-on-7 football league. I would go to different appearances for high schools, and I would coach and I would work for other players or NFL players that were putting on events and football events. I had the pleasure of working for Russell Wilson at one of his football camps back in the day when I was still trying to get paid speaking jobs. I also worked as a janitor, custodian for about 6 months. I did anything and everything I could, Aaron, just to make a buck. Anything and everything. And, at the end of the day, what I realize is that a real man is going to do whatever it takes to support his family. Now, I'm
Mhm.
divorced now. I have a 21-year-old stepdaughter who is in Madrid, studying abroad for NYU. And at NYU. She's doing phenomenal. And I have a 9-year-old. When I was engaged and married, my primary focus was doing whatever I had to do to support my spouse and my stepdaughter. And then when my daughter was born, and I did it. And I didn't complain. Was it long? Was it hard? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It was hard on my body. It was stressful. It was strenuous, long days, trying to always get new people, trying to always get people to kind of, re-embark and want to sign up and all these things, right, Aaron? And it was constant just trying to prove to people I could teach their children not just the game of life, but also I could teach them about life outside the game. So it was a lot. It was really a lot. And, but at the end of the day, it went really well. And I was able to, get by. I didn't make a ton of money, but I was able to live a lifestyle where, we paid our bills. Sometimes we were behind on things. Sometimes we were on time. Sometimes we had to finagle and move things around. Sometimes we had to, eat, not the best food from the grocery store because we didn't have a little extra money like we would like to have, but we got by. But I never, ever didn't work. Never, ever. As I was pursuing my dream of being a speaker, right, Aaron, I did anything and everything I needed to do and I had to do to get myself where we needed to go.
Well, the most important factor in the compound effect is time, right? You got to put the work in, and it doesn't pay off immediately. Yeah, yeah. There are a lot of people out there that are 10-year overnight successes. So you mentioned it just a moment ago, helping others become more authentic, and that's the theme of your podcast. Let me turn the microphone around and ask you what you ask all your guests. What is your definition? What do you think it is to be your authentic self?
Being your authentic self, right, Aaron, is being who you are in the moment, knowing the moment is going to change. We're not going to always be the same people every day, all day. I'm not the same man that I was when I was married. I've been in therapy since basically June of 2022, weekly or every other week. I've learned to push through. I drink, but I'm much more of cognizant of what I drink, how much I drink, where I drink. I don't really drink nearly. I mean, I drink almost nearly nothing compared to what I used to drink. And that even includes, Aaron, when I was going through depression, anxiety, stress, suicidal thoughts. And this was just, Aaron, November, December of 2022 when I got divorced, when I had to move out of the house that I share with my spouse, who I thought was going to be my forever partner. That was rough. But again, right, Aaron, that's authentic. That's who I was in the moment. There's times where if you ask me how I feel about my ex, I'll be like, oh, she's a nice person. She's, it is what it is. The times you ask me about my ex, I'm like, don't ask me that question right now because she's getting on my nerves and it's stressful and things like that. And that's being authentic. That's being real, right? It's being who you are in the moment, knowing that the moment is going to change. And that's something that is going to be a huge process in that regard. Huge.
Do you, in your experience now, after those 8 years since the transitioning into this you know coaching and speaking leadership role, uh, do you find that there's a common thread, a common challenge, a recurring, like you said, limiting belief that these companies, these division leaders, CEOs, executives, and the rest of the team that they commonly uh, run into?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times people struggle with learning how to be okay with who they are because they think if they are a certain way, then what happens is they're not going to be well received by their team. And in reality, vulnerability creates connectivity. And when you are vulnerable, when you are real, when you are authentic, people flock to you. But unfortunately, some people don't see it that way. And unfortunately, what happens is when you go that route, it's going to end up pushing away people because they're going to try to see you as somebody that they don't really know they can connect with. If people can't connect with you, you're in trouble. I saw a great quote by Dawn Staley, the head basketball coach of South Carolina, playing in the WNBA. She said, the secret to being a great coach is connectivity.
I think it's two sides of the same coin, where people are afraid of the judgment of others, and once they become authentic or they allow themselves to be vulnerable, they they open themselves up to that judgment. But the truth is that you can get that feedback, that the reward in the positive feedback from others when you show the vulnerability, which is hand in hand with courage. You can't have one without the other. And to be vulnerable, to be courageous, that's to show leadership. So you become more of an influence on the people around you. However, while one hand washes the other, you may think the opposite is also true. The one wrist is handcuffed to the other, because negative feedback is there's almost like a negative authenticity and negative feedback loop. You look at some of the uh, social media influencers who they hide behind "I'm just being authentic" when it's not truly authentic. They're just shrugging off societal norms. What do you have to say about people who mislabel authenticity for something else?
I think there are people who are trying to sell something to someone, and in reality, they're just trying to make a quick dollar. One of my clients texted me earlier saying that she is getting booked on podcasts. And I have a part of my business that helps people get booked on podcasts. But like she said, she's getting booked left and right on the podcast. And she didn't want to invest in that part of the business with me because she doesn't need it. I'm like, great. Like, if you're already getting booked on podcasts and you're doing your thing, you don't need me. Right. And so that's being authentic. Being unauthentic would be like, well, you're getting booked on podcasts, but I can help you with this and that and this and that, and still trying to close the sale. She's already a client of mine. I mean, I know I can help her get on larger podcasts, but if she's doing what she's doing right now and it's working, I don't want to mess that up. I don't want to step in, and I don't want to have that, you don't need me, then just go and do what you do. That's fine. But that's me. Sometimes some people are always trying to get something out of someone. And in reality, that's not how you do it. You need to give people value and provide them a service. And at the end of the day, if you can do something for them, great. If you can't, don't over embellish. Don't try to say you can, and don't go all that route, because what will happen is you'll end up eventually getting found out that you're really not who you say you are. And at that point, when people think you are quote unquote an ambulance chaser, oh my goodness, Aaron, business becomes almost impossible to conduct. So I tell people all the time, if someone's constantly pushing you, this, that, and the other, that's not who you need to have, in your line.
You've talked a lot so far about the mental side of success. Let's talk a little bit about the technical side of it. What are the daily or weekly? What are the focused actions that have helped you find success as a coach, consultant, author, podcaster, speaker? What have you been doing that has paid off?
Mastering follow-up. People are not going to hire you. They're not going to engage you just because you hit them up one time. You have to follow up. You have to stay top of mind, and you have to stay in people's, you know, view. If people can't see you or they don't know about you, they can't buy your services. So this is why I love coming on podcasts like yours. I love having our own podcast. I love all the things that we're doing in that regard. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, it's all about you figuring out what you can do differently. And I call it competitive market analysis, understanding what that looks like and being able to really focus on it, crush it, and move forward. So again, what's really important, Aaron, for people that are listening, you have to master follow up. And you have to control and have an asset, which is your list. If you want to really be successful, right, Aaron, your list of who you speak to, who knows you, who you can reach out to, all of those things are paramount.
Of course, that's absolutely true. And that's a part of taking action, not wasted movement, but focused, intentional, consistent action. So you're following up. And uh, what does that look like for, say, getting these speaking engagements with Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies? Do you find, is that like LinkedIn? Is that I'm just curious how a speaker connects with a corporation.
So a speaker can connect with a corporation through referrals, through LinkedIn, through a speaker bureau, through going on podcasts, having your own podcast, a newsletter, a blog. Any of these things, we have the Marques Ogden app where people can download our app and can really like have a conversation with us and get free exclusive content. So there's all kind of things that people can do as a result of connecting with meeting planners, event coordinators, all that. But when you connect with them, you better have something that they want. You got to show, I call it your archives, a nice website, videos of you in action, testimonials, client logos. People are not just going to hire you because you say you are good. They need to see it and verify it. If they can't, remember the saying, if they can't verify it, they won't buy it.
So now, sounds like you're creating success for yourself or your team, for clients. Is this fulfillment, this achievement? Do you feel successful now? Is there a bigger aim, another goal ahead of this? What's next too also?
So the next goal is to really help to develop our programs around evergreen and helping people through mindset encouragement and also through wanting to build a podcast and monetize it. We're working with some pretty awesome people in regards to opportunity around the vantage point of doing virtual roundtables and masterminds. We have a online course that we're doing and we're building out, and we're about to turn evergreen for how to launch and sustain a podcast. Doing things. I'm working with this health and wellness company. It's called the Patches, and what it is the patches help you to get your body rejuvenated to a better, younger self. And the X49 patch helps you to regain and awaken HGH in your body to make you stronger and healthier. And it's awesome. So looking to really help a lot of people with that, which is really, really going well and exciting. And so it's really a huge facet in that regard.
Yeah, I've heard that the panel style podcasts are becoming more popular. That's an interesting thought. Uh, this is kind of a side note. However, being a former professional athlete, are you staying active? How do you stay fit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I go to the gym every single day. And I do lifting 6 days a week, cardio 7, core 7. Walking. I do a lot of hit style now. Either fan bike or ropes or basketball or jump rope. Boxing with my trainer, and then I do some walking. Like one day a week, like some more like the old fashioned cardio was like the walk, like 45 minutes to an hour walk. But I'm very active. I'm very much into lifting and keeping myself fit and in shape because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about for me. So, yes, absolutely. I'm into being fit, staying fit, and keeping myself, especially in my career as a speaker. I travel a lot. I want to make sure I'm looking my best, being able to be clear in my mind and all that as well.
I've got 5-year-old twin boys who are kind of built like they're going to be linebackers. And I use them like kettlebells, just swinging them around.
That's awesome.
You said a fan, yeah, they were easier to swing around when they were 2 and 3. No, they maybe get a little bit heavy for me. But you said fan bike. Are you talking about what's that? The assault bike?
Yes, it's like like the one where you have to like use work pedal, 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 and then it like creates like it blows cold air on you as you're pedaling. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, that I've heard about that assault bike. I think it's cool. And I'm gonna have to get one of those things.
Yep.
Anyways, it sounds like you've got some big plans. You've got more goals to achieve and more people to help. Is there a message that you want to tell the audience, and something maybe that you would have liked the Marques Ogden of 5-10 years ago to have heard and really.
I wish I would have learned. I wish I would have learned, Aaron, the importance of active listening and being someone that always knew how to go about doing that. And as a result of that, I was able to make an impact in helping others by listening more instead of getting in my own way. The younger Marques was bullheaded. He was all about himself. He would be ego driven. He was all about money. And the new Marques is about people, about helping others, understanding, and all of these things that make a huge difference in life. And as a result of that, that's what I'm all about. So I'm really, really important now, driven to help others in that regard.
So stay humble.
All day, every day.
Be teachable.
All day, every day.
Well, I really appreciate this conversation. Is there, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, wants to find out more about your books, your podcast, coaching, consulting, uh, all of it, where can they get a hold of you?
The best place to go is you can go three places. One is our app, the Marques Ogden app. You can go to MarquesOgden. And then you can go, if you have an Apple phone or an Android phone, go to your app store, type in my name, it'll pop up. You can go to our website, www.marquesogden.com, or you can go to our 360 site, www.marcus360.com, or shoot me an email, marcus@marcusogden.com. Look forward to connecting with everybody.
Well, Marcus, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience, your wisdom, a little bit of your background with our audience, and you've certainly made an impact. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me, Aaron.